Cut into Rich Eisen's time. Rich Eisen, NFL Network, joining us. We were talking about Johnny Manziel.
You had Dan Bickley on?
No, I wouldn't do that to you. But we were talking about Johnny Manziel.
Yeah.
Is the coverage fair? And if you're an NFL scout front office, how much of this are you concerned about?
Oh, Dan, this is exactly the stuff me and everyone else on my network is going to be talking about, wringing our hands in the NFL media about from mid-February all the way till May when the draft hits. And as you know, all it takes is one team, and we'll see what he does at A&M. But if he wins another Heisman Trophy, it would be hard-pressed to think that he wouldn't be a first-round choice in the National Football League draft. And all this stuff that's going on right now, it is a head-scratcher, but we are trying to place adult thinking on a 20-year-old, which is you've got a responsibility in this world by winning Heisman trophies or a trophy. And when kids go to a camp expecting to see you, you better show up. Certainly if the person who's expecting you to show up are the Manning family.
Well, that's what McLovin just said. He said, you really think that Peyton's upset? And I said, knowing Peyton, I think he would take this personally if Johnny Manziel blew off a meeting or meetings at the Manning passing camp.
I think, and they would never say public. They're not going to throw him under the bus publicly. That's not what they're about. And as people in the world, okay, obviously also wouldn't help their camp either, is that if you come to Manning camp and you miss a meeting, you're going to get called out by them publicly. So you won't see that. But like I said, when kids show up and want to see you, hit the time, make the time. And GMs and scouts are going to have to sit there and think, well, will he do this when he comes to our town? And it just doesn't help Johnny football that we're in the age of social media and second windows. When we're sitting there, I can now sit on my couch, look down at my iPhone, and see that he's blown off a Manning passing camp within an hour of him being sent home. And I'm sitting in Los Angeles. This is happening in Louisiana.
Yeah.
And that's the way of the world. I'm sure there are many 20-year-old athletes in the past quarter century that did something that they shouldn't have, and nobody ever found out about it, let alone almost in real time.
Here's the thing, and McLovin keeps saying, well, what's he really done wrong? It's just, I don't want him to do things wrong. I think what happens is if there's nobody there to hold you accountable or remind you what you have and how quickly you can lose it, then, we could be 3 years down the road or 4 years down the road, and then all of a sudden we go, man, what happened to Johnny football?
What he did wrong is you don't go to the Manning passing camp to go party. You don't. You go to pay your respects to the Manning family.
Or if you do go to party.
And be part of a football community that you will, if you are lucky enough, join.
Yeah.
And if you give your name to this place, and kids are told your camp counselor is the reigning Heisman Trophy champ, and then they show up, and they look around, and he's not there, that's wrong. That's not right. As a person, that's not right. And as a public figure, as he is at age 20, unfortunately, in many ways, he's got to just suck it up and realize there are other times to do this stuff and deal with the consequences of NFL scouts wondering about this stuff next spring when we have seen people do far worse stuff get drafted higher anyway. I mean, let's be honest. So I don't know how much this is going to play in to the next year, but we'll be talking about it. Mayock and I will definitely be talking about it as we hopefully watch him spin a football at the Combine next year, as we all expect him to. And we'll see. We shall see.
We're talking to Rich Eisen, the NFL Network. His podcast, you can go to NFL.com/Rich Eisen. It's also available on iTunes. I was also wondering about the NFL. I've not heard the NFL say anything about tweets by Roddy White, the Pouncey brothers wearing Free Hernandez hats. Is this team discipline? Is it commissioner discipline?
That's league discipline. I don't think that's league discipline. That doesn't meet the role of league discipline. That's the role of a team sitting down, these guys, and saying, this is not wise. Roddy White already apologized for it. I think one of the Pounceys did too. And if I'm not mistaken, it was the one in Pittsburgh, which would sort of, make sense. The Rooneys would be on top of that right away. That doesn't mean that the Dolphins haven't either. But I don't think that's a league situation. It's just one of those things. Again, social media is dangerous when you You just got to think before you send. You know that phrase, think before you drink? It is think before you send. You know, you're emotional. I have to put my Twitter away during a Michigan football game, Dan. You know, I mean, that doesn't obviously meet it's apples and oranges when you compare it to the Zimmerman trial. But I just got to, you know, in the Rich Rod years, I had to put it away because I would just go and tweet the stupidest things because you just want to pop off and you're, you know, maybe you're watching a game by yourself and you don't have your buddy to just vent to. So why not do it to 500,000 followers and get something off your chest? You just got to think before you send in the NFL, and I'm sure that they talk about it at rookie symposiums and within teams too. But in the pros, you just really can't ban Twitter in the off season. Some teams, I think McCarthy bans Twitter during the season for the Packers. So I don't think that's a league level situation.
Wait, is that McCarthyism?
That is McCarthyism. I love it. I love it.
You got to take Xander
the
to school?
going to school. You want to say hi to Uncle Dan again, Zan?
Yeah.
All right, say hi real quick.
Hi, Uncle Dan.
Hi, Xander. How are you, buddy?
Good.
Yeah? Who's going to be in the Super Bowl this year, Xander?
Daddy.
You're right.
By the way,
right.
that's correct. And 100 live hours of high definition coverage too. I got to teach him. I got to teach him to say that when it gets time.
Yeah. All right, I'll let you
Daddy
know.
will be.
All right.
But I mean, long story short, this is the sort of stuff that we're talking about right now. Cowboys training camp opens next Wednesday with the rest of the league, and I think a lot of this stuff is going to go by the wayside. We'll still talk a little bit about it, certainly when the Patriots season opens up. But other than that, football's coming, Dan. I feel it. I don't know if you hear it from your listeners.
We're 49 days away from opening night on NBC in high definition.
Football Night in America?
Yes.
Are you going to be in Denver for that?
Yes, I will.
All right.
Of course, I'm going to be there with my boy Peyton.
Ripping Johnny Manziel?
You know what? If he invites me to his camp next year, I'll be there. I might be dehydrated, but I'll be there.
Hey, Dan, if there's anything that people can say about you, can be dehydrated like the rest of them, like anybody else. And real quick, I saw Paul Pabst tweet out the video of the James K. Polk Sports Center commercial saying you were talking about it.
Yes.
I assume you told the story about how I didn't want to do it.
I said
which is why you love that commercial to tell that story.
Yes, because you went to Keith and I were talking to you, and you go, I don't want people to think that I actually got sent down. And we both said, oh, my God, it's so good. The whole premise of you got sent down and the way you acted in that that's what made it priceless.
Give me some beer when they ask me to buy beer. Yes, but you have to understand, here I am. I'm like 28 years old. I'm 2 years into Sports Center. I'm trying to, I'm doing my best to keep up with, the big show, and me and Stuart trying the best to keep up with you. Exactly, and you and KO. And now here I am being sent down to the minors. I was a little sensitive about it. You're right.
Okay, if you left NFL Network and the mothership said, we'll give you a show, a late-night show.
Yes.
Would you ever consider going back to the mothership?
Would I ever consider going? Well, Dan, I mean, first of all, I love where I am.
I know.
That's the caveat.
That's
right?
not that. I'm just saying. I love where I am. I'm not going back.
Well, ESPN. I didn't burn any bridges with ESPN ever. I'm good with those people.
Okay, so you would go back
to ESPN?
Yeah.
Sure, I would never say no. Of course not.
This just in, Rich Eisen contemplating leaving the NFL Network.
What about you?
No.
What about you?
No.
Never?
No.
Dan, please. When KO left, if somebody had told you he's coming back one day to be a marquee presence in a crucial spot for ESPN at a crucial time for the network with other competition, you would have said no. You said no chance, right? Tragedy plus time equals comedy.
But 1997 to now is a hell of a long time, Rich.
I know.
If we go
right now, I mean, you've been gone how long? How long have you been gone?
6 years.
You've been gone
6 years. I got another 10 years to be gone before I would come back. Okay, in 10 more years, I'll consider going back to the mother.
Now, in this business, there you go. There you go.
Oh,
there you go.
All right, take your kid to school.
All right.
Thank you, buddy. Rich Eisen, NFL Network.